Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing on the banks of the Tigris River in the year 1257. The sun is setting, the sky burns orange, and in front of you stretches the most dazzling city the world has ever seen. Towers rise from the horizon, domes glisten like jewels. The call to prayer echoes over bustling markets. Ships unload goods from India, China, Africa, and beyond. Scholars debate the secrets of the cosmos in candlelit chambers. Doctors heal the sick with methods centuries ahead of their time. This is Baghdad, not just a city, but the center of civilization, the jewel of the Islamic Golden Age, a place where knowledge, culture, and power come together in a way no other city could rival. A city that believes itself untouchable. But within 1 year, this paradise will become hell on earth. The streets will run with blood, the libraries will burn, and the very memory of this golden city will be drowned in ink and ash. This is the story of the fall of Baghdad in 1258. The weak humanity lost a piece of itself. Let's start where greatness began. Baghdad was founded in 762 by the Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur, carefully planned as a city of perfection. Built in a massive circle nearly 2 miles across, it became known as the Round City. At its heart, the Caliph's palace and the Great Mosque rose as symbols of power and faith. Around them spread layers of bustling neighborhoods, each filled with artisans, scholars, soldiers, and traders. Its walls, high and fortified, gave the impression of invincibility. To outsiders, Baghdad was a city of dreams. By the 9th century, Baghdad reached its peak. The House of Wisdom was Baghdad's beating heart. This wasn't just a library, it was a treasure vault of human knowledge. Greek philosophy, Persian mathematics, Indian astronomy, all translated into Arabic, studied, expanded, and shared. Scholars invented algebra here. They pioneered optics and medicine. They measured the Earth's circumference with astonishing accuracy. They built hospitals where patients received organized care, with specialized wards and trained staff, a concept centuries ahead of Europe. If knowledge was power, Baghdad was the most powerful city on Earth. But here lies the fatal flaw. Baghdad's brilliance made it arrogant. Its leaders began to believe the city was chosen, untouchable, eternal, that no enemy could breach its walls, that the rivers and the caliph's authority were enough to guarantee safety. And while Baghdad basked in its glory, a storm gathered on the horizon. That storm had a name: Hulagu Khan. Grandson of Genghis Khan, Hulagu had inherited not just his bloodline, but his ruthlessness. By the mid-13th century, the Mongol Empire stretched across Asia like a shadow. From China to Eastern Europe, the Mongols had crushed armies and obliterated cities. Their cavalry could travel 100 miles in a day, their archers fired with deadly precision, and their siege engineers, borrowed from conquered China and Persia, could reduce the mightiest fortresses to rubble. Hulagu's orders from his brother, the great Khan Munka, were clear: expand the empire westward, destroy any who resist. And in this path of destruction, Baghdad was the ultimate prize. But here's the chilling truth: Hulagu didn't march with just horsemen. He brought with him a war machine unlike any the world had seen. Siege towers, mangonels, catapults capable of hurling massive stones, engineers who could dam rivers to flood cities or divert water to starve them. His army was estimated at over 150,000, an unstoppable tide. In 1257, Hulagu began his campaign. City after city fell. The legendary fortress of Alamut, the stronghold of the feared assassins, was obliterated. Persian towns burned. Survivors whispered of mountains of skulls left behind as warnings. And then, the Mongol wave reached the borders of Mesopotamia. Baghdad was next. Now, Al-Mustasim, the Abbasid Caliph, faced a choice. Hulagu sent envoys, demanding surrender. Baghdad's walls could not save it. But the Caliph underestimated everything. Arrogant, indecisive, blind to the threat, he dismissed Hulagu's demands. He refused to unite with allies in Egypt or Syria. He failed to strengthen the city's defenses. His own advisors begged him to take the Mongols seriously. Instead, He clung to his belief that Baghdad was chosen by God, untouchable, immortal. He insulted Hulagu's messengers, thinking his words carried divine weight. But the Mongols were not men of words. They were men of fire and blood. In January 1258, Hulagu's army encircled Baghdad. Siege engines were assembled. The city was cut off from the outside world. Day and night, stones and fire rained down upon the walls. Baghdad's defenders fought bravely, but they were hopelessly outmatched. By February, a breach was made, and then came the nightmare. On February 10th, the Mongols poured into Baghdad. Imagine it: the thunder of hooves, the crack of fire consuming houses, the screams of tens of thousands, soldiers cutting down everyone in their path. Streets clogged with corpses, families dragged from their homes, mosques desecrated, palaces looted, hospitals destroyed. The slaughter lasted for days. No one was spared. Men, women, children, scholars, even animals were cut down. The once bustling streets of Baghdad turned into rivers of blood, and the greatest wound of all, the House of Wisdom. Hulagu ordered its destruction. Priceless manuscripts were flung into the Tigris. The river turned black with ink as centuries of knowledge bled into the waters, then red as bodies followed. Legend says the water ran black and red for days, as if the river itself mourned what humanity had lost. And what about the Caliph? Al-Mustasim was captured alive, but Hulagu remembered the prophecy that whoever spilled the blood of a caliph would bring ruin to his own dynasty. So Hulagu devised a method both cruel and symbolic. The caliph was rolled up in a carpet and trampled to death beneath the hooves of horses, crushed without spilling a drop of blood. Thus ended the Abbasid Caliphate, a dynasty that had ruled for centuries. When the smoke cleared, Baghdad, the greatest city in the world, was gone. Historians estimate that at least 200,000 people were killed. Some claim the toll was closer to 1 million. The exact number doesn't matter. What matters is that the heart of civilization was extinguished in a single week. Baghdad would never return to its former glory. The jewel of the Islamic world had become a grave, and the consequences echoed far beyond Mesopotamia. The Islamic Golden Age, which had given the world mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy, was shattered. Progress slowed, knowledge was lost, civilization staggered. While Europe would later surge into the Renaissance, the East remained scarred. Imagine how different our world might be if that knowledge had survived. Would we have cured diseases centuries earlier? Would space travel have come sooner? Would history itself have been rewritten? We will never know. The Mongols moved on. Hulagu carved out an empire in Persia, but even his triumph did not last. Within a few years, the Mongols themselves fractured, torn apart by rivalries. Yet the scar they left on Baghdad never healed. And here's where history becomes more than just memory. Ask yourself, could it happen again? Could New York, London, Tokyo, or Beijing, our centers of culture and knowledge, be wiped out in a single week? Today, we live in a world of nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, pandemics, climate collapse. Our cities, our civilizations are not as invincible as we think. We tell ourselves we are safe, that our walls are strong, that our leaders are wise. But Baghdad thought the same, and then, in 7 days, it was gone. The fall of Baghdad is not just the story of a city. It is the story of arrogance, of fragility, of how quickly greatness can turn to ashes. It is a warning to every empire that believes it will last forever. Because the truth is simple, none do. And so we remember. The week the world ended, the week Baghdad burned, the week humanity lost not just a city but a part of its soul.